Okay, that's all I'd have, Judge.
All right. Is there any redirect?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Carroll, you say that you spoke with Mr. Morrison,
I did, yes, sir.
and he did say he was over there because he was wanting to know what was on Thomas's phone.
That's correct. He advised that he was just asking his girlfriend Breanne Thomas what was on her phone. He just advised that that's what happened, and he advised nothing else was going on.
So he denied any physical assault towards
Yes, sir.
Breanne Thomas.
That's correct.
But Breanne claims that they were in an argument about her phone. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And then she claims that he physically assaulted her.
That's correct.
And you mentioned about redness on her chest. Did you observe that?
I did. We didn't observe it till we got to the police department because, like we said, at the scene, she didn't release all the information that was needed at the time to take him into custody. But Sergeant Merle advised on the way to the police department, she released additional information of the assault.
No further questions.
I got just one more, Judge, because
Yeah, go ahead, please.
when you first saw them, they were coming down these steps. Was DeDante dragging her or anything, or was she just walking?
He wasn't dragging her, but she was out in front of him. He was behind her, and she was crying, and she walked to the other side of the street to attempt to get away from him. And he was just being very loud and talking loud.
Okay. All right, that's all I'd have, Judge.
All right, Mr. Gardner, anything else of this witness?
No, Your Honor.
Any other witnesses?
Yes, call Stephen Fields.
All right, let's see. Oh, hold on a minute, sir. Get you back up here. All right, would you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear or affirm that you will tell me the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you.
Sergeant Fields, will you state your name for the record?
Sergeant Stephen Fields.
And do you work for the Glasgow Police Department?
Yes, sir. That's correct.
And were you working for the Glasgow Police Department on March 14, 2021?
Yes, sir, it was.
And did you charge Mr. Morrison with violation of a Kentucky EPO DVO on that date?
Yes, sir, it did.
And why did you do that?
We'd received a call from Morrison's ex-girlfriend, Miss Thomas, stating that Mr. Morrison had been in contact with her from the jail via the jail phone in direct violation of his EPO. I then went to the police department and pulled up the recording of the phone conversations and found approximately 5 phone calls Mr. Morrison had made to Miss Thomas, one in which he actually spoke to her. And during that conversation, she again advised him of the EPO and that he could not contact her, and then hung up the phone. And immediately after that, he continued several more times attempting to contact her from the recorded line in the jail.
Did you confront Mr. Morrison about this?
Yes, sir, I did.
Did he speak with you?
He did. Originally, he denied the allegations of contacting her, and then I advised him I'd already heard the conversations, at which point he admitted to making the phone calls and having the conversation, but denied being served the EPO. At that time, I presented him a copy of the EPO in which he had signed when he was served it.
No further questions.
Barry Cross.
Yes, when was the EPO, when was that granted?
It was served on the 12th, I believe, sir. March the 12th.
Okay. And what was the date of this incident everybody's been talking about?
The date of the EPO violation you're asking?
Well, the date that the alleged assault.
I don't know, sir. I wasn't part of that charge.
Okay.
From what I understood from the previous officer testimony, it was the 12th, but I wasn't part of that.
Okay. Okay, so as far as you know, she got the EPO on the date that this happened, that of this alleged incident?
All I know, sir, is that she was her EPO was signed valid on what I believe was the 12th.
Okay. And, okay, so you didn't have anything to do with the arrest that night or going over to the house or anything like that? You
No,
weren't-
sir, that's correct.
Okay, that's all the questions I'd have then, Judge.
Mr. Gardner, any redirect?
No, Your Honor, that's Commonwealth's proof.
All right. Is it, Sergeant Fields, is this your only subpoena?
Yes, sir, I believe it is.
All right. You're free to go. You can stick around until this hearing's over, or you can extricate yourself, either one, but you're free to go. Okay,
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
no problem. Mr. Barry, do you have any proof you want to put on?
No, Judge, I'd just like to make argument on this.
Okay, go ahead, please.
I believe the one violation that we're dealing with here is this new charge, the assault for domestic violence. And with minor injury involved evidently, at least according to the citation. I think DeDante's been trying to do pretty well on probation. He's got, I believe has not been having drug violations or not, or failing to show up to see his probation officer. We would ask the court, since this is the primary, or maybe I believe the only violation alleged in this matter, that he not be revoked for it. I don't know how far this misdemeanor might go, or if it'll be going all the way to trial, or what it's going to do, or if it's going to be dismissed prior to trial or what. But I would ask the court to not revoke him based on this violation itself, and give DeDante, let him serve a sanction. I believe he's been in there a couple of weeks now. We would ask for a 30-day sanction on it, and then allow him back out and to deal with this misdemeanor charge as he sees fit.
Okay, Mr. Gardner?
Your Honor, Mr. Morrison was placed on probation August the 6th, 2020. Since that date, we've had a revocation hearing in September. The allegation at that time was absconding. He had a 40-day sanction and was required to enter and complete a substance abuse program. Then in December, we had another revocation hearing, again for absconding and failing. This time she also failed to complete that substance abuse treatment. In lieu of revocation, he was given a 90-day sanction. He was released on that sanction on March the 3rd, 2020. And here we have an arrest 9 days later for an assault. Officer Carroll testified about the assault and believed that there is probable cause to believe that assault did occur. Mr. Morrison stated that he was over there wanting to know what was on Ms. Thomas's phone, but nothing else happened. Ms. Thomas says he was over there, arguing about what was on her phone, but then assaulted her by kneeling on her chest. The officers observed signs of forced entry into the apartment, also observed injury that is consistent with her statements as well. Then shortly after that, March the 14th, Stephen Fields gets a complaint about the EPO violation. He listens to the jail phone calls and confirms that violation. And Mr. Morrison first attempts to try to deny that, and then when confronted, obviously admits to the contact, but then says he wasn't served with the EPO, which was not true either. So based upon all of the evidence, based upon all the history in this case, Commonwealth believes that it's satisfied its burden, showed that Mr. Morrison can't be effectively supervised in the community, and also that he's a danger to others by the assault case. So for those reasons, we ask that the court revoke his probation.
I think the relevant information here comes from the timeline that basically beginning in September or so until now, Mr. Morrison, you did a 40-day sanction, a very short stint in rehab, a 90-day sanction. Like Mr. Gardner said, you got out roughly 2.5 weeks ago. And within 8 or 9 days, all this stuff happened. Clearly that's you're not making yourself amenable to supervision in the community. It's just kind of been one problem after another since 8 months ago, 7 months ago, whatever it is. The Commonwealth is obligated in a probation revocation case to prove that you have violated your probation. It does not require a conviction, nor does it require proof beyond a reasonable doubt. The testimony that I heard today from Sergeant Fields and Officer Carroll, makes it clear that at least by a preponderance of the evidence, there was, in my mind, there was a 4th degree assault and there was a violation of a protective order. The Commonwealth has therefore proven that you violated your probation and that supervision in the community is not reasonable under the circumstances that I've already laid out. Those violations constitute a danger because they are by definition, a protective order is designed to protect somebody and it's been violated. And then of course, nobody deserves to get assaulted. So those are risk-filled behaviors for the people in the community. So I am going to grant the motion of the Commonwealth and enter an order to revoke probation at this time. I know you're probably going to want to know when you get out. I do not know the answer to that, but you do have a substantial amount of credit towards your sentence. I think it was initially a 2-year sentence. You've done a bunch of that time already through the various sanctions and so forth. And, you'll get credit for all of that towards whatever your ultimate release date is. Okay?
All right, thank you, Your Honor.
Yep, thank you.
Judge, am I free to go?
Sure.
Thank you, sir.
I'm sorry. Jennifer Jones.
Hello, Your Honor.
Judge, on this, Zach Vance is here, but Officer Brendan Fletcher is also on this case. He called the office, said he was having trouble logging on to Zoom. He was going to the police department, Cape City Police Department, to do that. So I don't know if we could call another case and maybe circle back to this one.
I can. We'll. I think I just have 2 more, but
Okay.
one of them might require a hearing. Miss Jones, have a seat there, and we'll call you back in just a second. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Savannah Scott.
Judge, that's my case. We're having a hearing in that one.
Okay. Who do you plan to call?
Candy Reed.
Just a second here and let me get her on. All right, Ms. Reed, you raise your right hand for me, please. Do you swear or affirm that your testimony will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Gardner, you may ask her.
Thank you, Judge. Ms. Reed, you're with the Barron County Drug Court Program.
Yes, ma'am.
And have you been supervising Savannah Scott?
Yes, ma'am.
When did she begin the drug court program?
She entered September 17th, 2018.
And has she successfully completed that program?
No, ma'am.
Could you please tell the court what she has failed to do and what's been required of her in drug court?
Well, her requirements are the same as everybody. They must attend meetings, life skills, remain drug and alcohol free, obtain employment, pass all drug tests, attend drug court, attend their therapy, sponsor homework. She came to me pregnant. So when she entered in September 2018 and February 18th, she was on medical leave for having a baby. Her baby was born with severe health issues, so she was on medical leave at the hospital with the baby. But March 22nd, 2019, social services notified me that she had left the hospital with her boyfriend, but they got thrown out of the hospital for domestic violence.
Well, let me just stop you there. I think we have already had a revocation hearing on that.
They nobody start from the beginning because last thing they made me start from the beginning all over again. So
Yeah.
Yeah, Yeah, that ultimately resulted in our sending her to a residential treatment.
which we've done 3 times. I don't know where you want me to start it. That's why I'm making sure.
Okay. So you had sent her to a residential treatment program on 3 different occasions. Had she successfully completed any of those programs?
April 8, 2019, she went to Kentucky Recovery Center. 6/11, she left. But now on 6/25, 2019, went to Kentucky Recovery Center again and did complete it. So she did complete 1 out of 3.
After she completed that program, did she come and work the drug court program?
She completed January 26, 2019. February 29th, 2020. Sorry. She was late for drug testing and she was given 10 hours community service. On 5/14/2020, received a call from the DTF that they had been to my client's home where she was living with a convicted felon and they had found syringes but no drugs. She was called in for a drug test. Client came in with fake urine in her female areas. Then when Miss Atkins removed that part, she was tested and she was 30 for meth. She was arrested, social services took her child. She was lodged in jail until revocation, hearing again, on 6/4/2020, when again, we let her go back to rehab. On 8/28/2020, client left rehab. We also had another revocation update. On 10/12/2020, she went back to another rehab. 11/6/2020, she left the rehab. I never heard, she was then arrested 3/2/2021.
Okay. So I guess her current violation would be absconding.
Correct.
Okay. I have no further questions.
Cross-examination.
Yes, Judge. So she started in drug court back in 2018.
Yes, sir.
And so she's been participating in it more or less, at least for about 2.5 years now. Is that correct?
Well, if you're counting her absconding time, yes. If not, no.
In what phase did she make it to?
She made the phase 2. At the beginning, she did really good when she was pregnant. And then she came back and had a period where she did really good when she went to rehab. When she completed the second time we sent her to rehab.
Mhm.
But when she came back, well, she didn't make much progress after that time.
Okay, so phase 2 is what she made. It was the highest one she made it to.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And her charges here that she was convicted on were possession and drug paraphernalia.
I don't have that in front of me, but I'm sure I'm sure it's similar to that.
Okay. As far as you know, she's not been charged with any other crimes during this time?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Okay. All right, that's all the questions I have for her, Judge.
All right, Ms. Gardner, redirect.
I don't have any questions, Judge.
Okay. Do you have any additional proof?
I do not.
Okay. Is this Ms. Reed? I guess this is your only other case, right?
This is all I have, Your Honor, yes.
Yeah. So you're free to go if you would like to. Mr. Berry, do you want to put any proof on?
Yes, I was going to call Ms. Scott.
All right, Ms. Scott, raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm that your testimony will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Berry.
Savannah, you did complete, what, a 7-month program at one time or at one point?
Yes, sir.
Okay, which one was that? Was that an RKC facility?
No, it's Renest in Elizabethtown.
Okay. Do you recall the dates of that, when you finished that program?
I think it was like January 16th of last year is when I
Okay.
completed.
Of 2020?
Mhm.
Okay. The, basically, the the violation here that you're accused of committing was absconding this last time. Can you tell us any reason what was going on with that?
No, I had left the place that I was at that I had willingly went to, and then I was still reporting to drug court, and then I called the number, and my number wasn't working. And so I called Candy and told her my number wasn't working, and she was like, I don't know why you're worried about reporting, because you absconded, you have a warrant. And she was like, the best bet for you to do is go turn yourself in, and I did not do that.
Okay. You recall when that was?
I left there on November 5th.
Okay. 2020?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you feel like there's any kind of rehab that you would feel like would work with you at this point?
I mean, I'm open to whatever y'all would have me do. I don't really know, because I've done long-term treatment. But I mean, yeah, I would do it again.
Did you do okay for a while if you got out of the long-term treatment?
Yes, I did. And then like this whole COVID thing happened, I couldn't go to no meetings, and I couldn't really go nowhere because I had my daughter, and my daughter's got health problems. So I'm not going to take my daughter out in places. And I mean, it's not no excuse, but yeah, I did start messing up.
Okay. Okay, I'll pass the witness, Judge.
Okay, Ms.
Judge.
Gardner?
Judge, I don't have any questions for her.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Mr. Barry, do you wish to make an argument?
Yes, Judge. Knowing that probably there's going to be a voiding of a pretrial diversion, I would ask that it be scheduled for a final sentencing, and we'd be allowed at that point to argue for a possible probation into another long-term treatment program that we can try to have arranged for her. It did help the last time. I do think that when people's contacts and all are cut down because of not being able to get out in the community these days, that it could impede somebody's progress in their rehab. I think possibly that, and Savannah said it did help when she went that time and completed the program. It was the aftercare part that she ran into the problem with COVID and all. So we would ask the court, if the court's going to void her diversion, that we set this thing for a final sentencing, and at that point we will argue for probation.
All right, Ms. Gardner.
Your Honor, we would ask that you void her diversion. I think that Ms. Reed's testimony shows that Ms. Scott has not been able to follow any of the rules that are any of the things that were required of her in drug court. She had been given opportunities even before the pandemic started and had a hard time following the rules and doing what she was supposed to be doing. I believe this is the second time that she's absconded from the program. It's at least the second hearing we've had on a motion to void her diversion. I think that her actions over the past, almost 2 years show that she's not amenable to supervision. She's been given multiple opportunities at treatment. It's hard for me to imagine that another treatment program would prove differently. She was given the opportunity at the end of last year to go to a treatment program. She left. That was in early November, and we just found her recently. So I don't know what she's been doing since that time. I think that we have provided enough proof to have her diversion voided.
Well, that's unquestionably, there's enough proof to void the diversion. I mean, as a matter of statutory law, the same standard applies to motions to void diversion as to motions to revoke probation. And that standard is have there been violations of the terms of supervision that basically render a person unsupervisable, and that those violations are dangerous to the community or harmful to people. And, I don't think there's any question about that based upon the testimony. By the same token, it's also a question of, as Mr. Berry pointed out, the voiding and then what do you do about it? What kind of sentence do you get? Those are, those are also two different steps. And I do not have any problem with his request that we set a sentencing for her. Mr. Berry, I could probably do it April 19th. That's 4 weeks. That kind of puts, conceivably at least puts probation and parole a little bit under the gun to get that PSI done. I mean, statutorily, I think they're supposed to get it done within 30 days, and that's 28 days. So
Judge, I'm sorry, I won't be here on April 19th. If we could do it a week later.
yeah, we could do the 26th.
Okay.
Yeah, please. Yeah, they ought not have any trouble getting that done.
Okay. Will that be at 10 a.m., Judge?
We'll do 10 a.m.
Okay.
But I do think that it is appropriate under the circumstances and based upon the testimony from Ms. Reed to grant the motion to void pretrial diversion. I mean, clearly the drug court situation was not working the way that it's intended to. And, you all may come up with a proposal that works better. I'll be willing to listen. Okay.
Okay, Judge.
All right. Thank you. Ms. Jones.
Sir.
All right. Mr. Gardner, do you believe you're ready?
I am, Your Honor.
Who do you wish to call?
I'll call Zachary Vance first.
All right. There he is. All right. Will you raise your right hand for me, please? Do you swear or affirm that your testimony will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you. Go ahead, please.
Deputy Vance, will you state your name for the record?
Deputy Zachary Vance.
And do you work for the Barron County Sheriff's Office?
Yes, sir.
Were you working in that capacity on January the 17th, 2021?
Yes, sir.
Did you arrest a Jennifer Jones on that date?
Yes, sir.
And what did you charge her with?
Theft by unlawful taking, auto 500 or more, but under 10,000.
And why did you charge her?
We received a call of a stolen truck at 151 Wilrich Circle. Upon arrival, I spoke with a Ronald Shirley, who states that his granddaughter, Jennifer Jones, stole his 2005 Chevrolet Silverado Z71, valued at approximately $8,157. Shirley stated that his keys were hidden inside of one of the bedrooms in the residence, and while he was sleeping, Jennifer Jones went to that bedroom and found the keys, went to the truck and left. Approximately 5:17 a.m., going back to the original call, I asked Shirley if he wanted the vehicle entered stolen. He stated that he did want it entered stolen. Approximately 5:17, Shirley called back and stated that his truck was back at the residence. I then went to the residence, located the stolen truck, and made contact with Jennifer Jones. I read Jennifer Jones her Miranda warning. She waived her rights and admitted that she took the keys without asking her grandfather, stating she needed to go to her trailer in Tompkinsville. And she was then placed under arrest for theft by unlawful taking.
And did Mr. Shirley say he wanted to pursue charges?
He did at, well, let's see, just after midnight.
Okay. Now, was Jennifer Jones residing at the same address as Mr. Shirley?
I believe, if I remember right, I believe she stays there on weekends. I could be wrong on that, but her address is listed as 151 Blue Ridge Circle on her driver's license, I believe.
Okay. And so you initially responded to the call around midnight that morning,
Yes, sir.
and then you got a call back at 5:17 saying the truck was back at the residence.
Yes, sir.
But Mr. Shirley told you that he didn't give Ms. Jones permission to use the vehicle.
Correct. He did not give her permission, and he says that he had never given her permission to use that vehicle.
Okay. No further questions.
I did not catch this. Could you remind me what date that this arrest occurred?
January 17th, sir.
All right, thank you. Cross-examination.
Yes, Smith, this was her grandfather you've been talking about? Is that what you said?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and Jennifer lived there with him?
To my knowledge, she stayed there on some weekends.
Okay. Do you know if she ever used this truck before with or without his permission, or?
Ronald Shirley stated that she has never used that truck before.
Did you ask Jennifer that?
I don't recall.
Okay. Did you, has this been, is this case presently in district court, or do you know where it would be?
I'm not positive.
Okay.
I believe it's waiting grand jury, but I could be wrong on that.
Okay. All right, I'll pass the witness, Judge. That's all I'd have to ask.
Yes, sir. Mr. Gardner, redirect.
No, Your Honor.
All right. Is that it for Deputy Vance?
It is.
All right. Thank you, Deputy Vance. You're free to go if you'd like to. You don't have to, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. Mr. Gardner, who do you wish to call, sir?
Call Officer Bray.
All right. Officer Bray, you with us?
I am.
Oh, wait, I went right past you. All right. Will you raise your right hand for me, please? Do you swear or affirm that your testimony will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right, thank you. Mr. Gardner, you may ask him.
Yes, Officer Bray, you said your name for the record,
Officer Wesley Bray.
and you work for probation and parole.
I do.
Do you supervise a Jennifer Jones?
Yes, I do.
And how long have you been supervising her?
I've been supervising her since 2018. She went, and one time she went to treatment, but otherwise than that, I've been supervising her since then. For a small time in December of last year, she was put on Chastity's low case load, but Officer McCorkle.
But since she's been on probation since October 15, 2018, you've been the primary one supervising her.
Yes,
Did you file a violation of supervision report dated January the 21st, 2021?
yes,
Now, Officer Vance testified about an arrest on the 17th of January. Am I correct in that?
yes,
And did you drug test Ms. Jones after that arrest?
I don't think she was. Let me check. No, she has not been drug tested since December of last year.
Okay, well, I apologize. I'm actually looking at the supervision report dated January 21st, 2021, signed by Officer McCorkle. In that, there's a violation that says on January the 19th, 2021, there was a verbal admission by Jennifer Jones that she had relapsed on methamphetamine. Do you see that?
Yes, I'm looking through her, back through her notes as well.
Okay. Did she have a positive for methamphetamine on January 19, 2021?
Yes, she admitted to it that she used methamphetamine on that day. She did admit to that. To
And-
Officer McCorkle, looks like.
Okay. Did she also admit to using marijuana?
She did.
And that was after that January 17th, 2021 arrest that Deputy Vance testified to.
Yes, she admitted on January 19th.
Okay. Then did you file a supervision report dated March the 4th, 2021?
I did.
And did you list a violation on that report?
I did.
And was it the new arrest in Cave City?
It was.
Okay. After that arrest, did you drug test Ms. Jones?
I have not drug tested her since then, no.
Okay. Has there been any other drug tests since that January date?
No. Not that I've seen, no.
Since that January date, has Ms. Jones reported to you?
Yes, she's reported as directed up until her arrest.
Okay. No further questions from Officer Bray.
Mr. Berry?
Yes, so she always reported when she was supposed to until she was in jail.
Yes, there was no problems with reporting at all.
Okay. And the January 19th, where Officer McCorkle says that she told her that she had relapsed and used meth the week before. What other times did you have her be either testing positive on a drug test or just verbally telling you she had used?
According to my records, nothing. Every time she's come in on the drug test, when she was drug tested, she's been, looks like, negative.
Okay. Okay.
Excuse me, she did have some positives back in 2019. She had a positive, looks like, for use of controlled substance, meth and marijuana on, she admitted using by IV 2 days prior to this report, which was about April 3rd, 2019, and she admitted to use of marijuana on the same date. So she was using IV on 4/3/2019 and marijuana as well.
Okay. What about in 2020? Were there any positive tests?
In 2020, no, I see no positive tests.
Okay. Was that the only admission or positive test in 2019, that April 3rd date?
Yes, looks like it was.
Okay. And then she says the one on January 19th of 2021.
Yes, and so
Okay.
she admitted to it, yes.
Okay. Okay, I'll pass the witness, Judge.
All right, Mr. Gardner,
No redirect.
okay. Do you have any additional witnesses?
Yes, call Officer Brandon Fletcher.
Do you swear or affirm your testimony will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
All right, Mr. Gardner, go ahead.
You state your name for the record.
Brandon Fletcher.
And do you work for the Cave City Police Department?
Yes, sir.
Were you working for the Cave City Police Department on March the 3rd, 2021?
Yes, sir.
And did you arrest a Jennifer Jones on that date?
I did.
And why did you arrest her?
Charged her with one count of custodial interference.
And what were the circumstances behind the arrest?
On that day, I received a complaint call from 503 North 3rd Street in Cave City. They stated there's a female walking through their backyards with an infant, and they questioned the female about the infant, the name, because they thought it seemed suspicious. She didn't know the name of the baby, and at this point, the caller stated she took off walking in a wooded area around the North Dixie Highway. We arrived on scene. They gave us a description of her, where she was headed, and we got out with her on Old Horse Cave Road, and she did have an infant with her. We questioned her about if it was her. She stated it wasn't. She said she took it away from the parents because they were allegedly making meth. The mother had then called in that Jennifer Jones subject had her baby without permission. I made contact with the mother, Rebecca Davis, and the father, Andrew Rutka. They were staying at the Holiday Motel. Andrew stated that Jennifer had come to his room, and they were acquaintances. She stated that the baby needed to be walked and needed some sunlight. At this time, Andrew started walking with Jennifer holding the baby. They walked to the Budget Inn, where they go into a room for a split second. They walk across the road to Countryside Inn, and AJ, the father, decides he's forgot the diaper bag. So he takes off back to Holiday, retrieves the diaper bag. At this point, Jennifer Jones is no longer in the area. I questioned Jennifer about what she was doing with the baby. She said that they were doing meth, and she was going to take the baby to Caverna Hospital. We got consent to search the parents' room. There was no indication that there was any kind of methamphetamine being made. At this time, I placed her under arrest for custodial interference.
So when the call first came in to the police department, it was just from a resident there in Cave City?
Correct.
And they had no knowledge or no contact with Jennifer Jones?
No, they advised they heard their dogs barking. They seen her coming through the backyard with the baby. They thought it seemed suspicious.
And you stated that, so they were walking, she was walking through the backyard according to the call, and then wooded area?
And do what now? I'm sorry.
That she was walking through the backyard and then went into a wooded area, you stated.
Right, correct.
Could you describe to the court what type of area that is?
It's a short wooded area, probably. It's off the side of the road. It's not very, there's a path where people walk, so it's not really. I'm not sure if she was trying to hide the infant or what, but it's a dense wooded area.
And is that where you made contact with her close to that area?
We were close. However, she had walked past Dairy Queen and behind Dairy Queen, and we stopped her on Old Horse Cave Road, which is maybe quarter of a mile.
From that wooded area.
Right.
And then how far from the hotel where she was last in touch with Andrew?
I would guess 1/10 of a mile, maybe.
from that area?
Right.
Okay. And then, so when you made contact with her, did she know the baby's name or?
No, she had no idea.
And go ahead.
The caller originally, she said that at first she didn't know the baby's name, and then I can't recall, but she had made up some kind of name. They said like 2 different names.
And she claimed that the parents were using or manufacturing methamphetamine, and that's why
Correct.
she had to take the child.
Correct.
Okay, but you did state that law enforcement went to the, I guess, room where the individuals were staying
Right.
and found no.
We done a in-depth search, and nothing drug related was found.
No further questions.
Recross?
Yes, Judge. I don't think I've done any crossing.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah,
That's
just
all right.
plain old cross. Yeah.
I'm getting mixed up on witnesses too. Was the baby hurt at all?
No, we actually contacted EMS. EMS came on scene, checked the baby out, and nothing was wrong with the child.
Okay. Was Jennifer, she wasn't high or anything, was she, when you all talked to her?
She didn't appear to be.
Okay. And when you all found her, she was out in the open on a street or a road? Is that
Yes, it's close to Hart County line.
okay? All right. About 1/10 of a mile from the motel where I'm sorry, was the name Anthony?
Andrew.
Andrew,
Okay. Where Andrew was?
it's just a ballpark guess, something
Yeah.
like that.
Okay. But we're not talking 2 or 3 miles or anything.
No, sir.
Had the parents called the police or anything, or was this a citizen that saw him in the back?
According to the mother, Rebecca, she had called once she realized the child was, she went to the store, she'd come back, made contact with the father, Andrew. Andrew said that Jennifer had the baby, and at that time she did contact police.
Okay. Do you have any record? Do you know if there's any record of that contact? Of 911?
Unless our dispatcher put it in our CAD.
Yeah. Okay.
She made the, I'm going off what she stated. She stated she did try to call the police.
Okay. Did Andrew support that version, or did you ask him?
To be honest with you, I don't think I asked him. If I did, I don't recall.
Okay. All right. Okay, Judge, I'll pass the witness.
All right, thank you, Mr. Berry. Mr. Gardner, do you want to ask any redirect?
Yeah, I'm just a little confused about, you said it's about 1/10 of a mile from the hotel.
My numbers may be off. I'm sorry, sir.
Yeah, but then you said about 1/4 of a mile from the wooded area. Did she circle back or?
No, that I told you wrong. I don't know my distances. It was probably from the house where she was at, maybe 100 yards, something like that. Just a guess.
Okay, the house where they saw her was about 100 yards away from that motel.
Right, is where we picked her up at. It was something like that.
Okay. No further questions.
Okay, Mr. Berry.
No follow-up on that, Judge.
All right. Is that it for the proof? Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
It is,
Is
yes.
that it for the proof, Mr. Gardner, on your side?
Yes.
Mr. Berry, do you wish to put on any proof?
I really don't want Jennifer to take a witness stand with 2 cases pending right now. Like we always say, the person has a right to testify if they insist on it, but my advice to her would be not to at this point.
Ms. Jones, do you understand what Mr. Berry is saying?
Yes, sir.
You can elect to testify against his advice if you want to, but he is advising you not to, go under oath and allow yourself to answer questions.
On the second case, I will, but the first case was actually dismissed from court because my grandfather came to court that day and told them that it was, that I did not steal the vehicle.
Well,
You-
Yeah.
You'll need to be put under oath, Jennifer.
yeah, I mean, I'm going to have to swear you in and then you'll have to answer whatever questions anybody asks you. Okay.
Okay.
If you, I mean, but you do not have to testify. So you tell me you want to?
I want to. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay.
Even though we're all telling you, you don't have to.
Yes, sir.
And even though what you say is being recorded, so it could conceivably
sir.
be used against you later.
Yes, sir.
Do you swear or affirm that you will tell me the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God.
Yes, sir.
All right.
So,
Go ahead.
Jennifer, you said you were, before we got you under oath and all, you were talking about, do you think that case, that theft case involving your grandfather's pickup was dismissed?
Yes, yes, sir. I was at Keith Pointer's house and we was on Zoom and my grandfather had come in and said that he had dropped that, as far as I knew with the Commonwealth, he had already dropped the charges. Yes, sir.
Okay, so he didn't say the Commonwealth had actually dropped it. He just said he
No.
did.
He told them to drop the charges. I was released 4 hours after I was brought to the Barron County Detention Center.
Okay,
I called pretrial. I went to my court hearing like I was supposed to. As far as I know of, it did not go in front of the grand jury.
okay. Okay. You have, since you've been on your probation, the officer said basically it sounded like you had in 2020, no positive drug test or any problems with drugs or showing up to meet with him.
And no,
Yeah.
sir. I completed Trilogy Center for Women in June of 2020. I come home. I actually come into Barron County Detention Center on April the 3rd of 2019. I was sent here to Louisville to the healing place. They would not give me my medications there. I left there 2 weeks later and went to Wayside Christian Missions, which is in Louisville. I was arrested on June 5th because the Commonwealth here was trying to revoke me then. I come back here a week later, stayed here until October of the 24th of 2019. Then I went to Trilogy Center for Women, completed that program in June, and my aftercare was completed with that in January. And yes, I relapsed on January 11th, but it was after my sponsor had relapsed. So,
Okay, you talking about January of 2021?
yes, sir.
Okay, would January 19th sound?
January 19th is when I talked to Chastity McCorkle and told her that I had relapsed. Yes, sir.
Okay.
And then they moved me back to Wesley Bray.
Okay. All right. Do you feel like you need more treatment?
No, sir. If I wanted to, at any time, I could go to the healing place in Louisville and be a silver chipper and go to work and do that. I don't need treatment. I go to AA meetings. I mean, I just did what I was supposed to. I have 2 home groups. One is in at EBT Terry Estates at Cave City Police Department 2 on Wednesday nights at 7:30. And the other one is here in Glasgow at 7:30 on Thursdays.
Okay, those are AA meetings?
Yes, sir. I go Monday nights to a speaker meeting at 7 o'clock. Tuesday night, I meet with my sponsor. Wednesday night, I go to a meeting. Thursday night, I go to a meeting. Friday night, I go to a meeting. Saturday, I go to Edmonton, and Sunday, I go to Highsville.
Okay. Have you had any more, well,
I haven't relapsed since then. I picked up my key tag or my chip because they don't do NA meetings here anymore. They only do AA meetings.
okay.
Candy Reed stopped the NA meetings that we did have here.
All right. I think I'd pass the witness, Judge.
Mr. Gardner.
Ms. Jones, did Mr. Shirley give you authorization to take his vehicle on 17th?
No, my grandmother did. Carolyn Gammon,
Grandmother did.
my grandmother, yes.
Okay.
I take care of my grandmother when my grandfather's at work. The only time I'm at my grandparents' is when I get to see my kids because of my ex. Other than taking care of her when he works over at T. Marzetti's in Horse Cave. Monday through Thursday. Which right now my uncle had to come in from Louisville to stay with her because, of course, of where I'm at.
On the 3rd of March, do you dispute that you had another person's child in your possession?
No, sir. And the baby's name is James. His mother is Rebecca Davis and his father is Andrew. And no, I had actually left Keith Pointers after I caught my fiance in the bed with another woman and went to Holiday Inn Motel where my niece was staying with AJ and went there. She was supposed to be going to Walmart. He had advised me that him and her had done methamphetamines that morning. So we left. He told me that if he told
So
me.
we
that-
left, who you mean?
Me and
by we?
AJ, me and the father of the child. We left the motel.
Okay, but obviously when you were approached by Mr. Fletcher, Officer Fletcher, you weren't with AJ.
AJ had left. I was at room 19 over at the Budget Inn Motel. AJ left to go get the diaper bag and my book bag and the baby's birth certificate that was hanging on the wall above his bed.
And so you took off at that point.
No, we was supposed to meet at Wigwam, right there at Albie's towing service, right across the street from Wigwam Motel. And Thomas Wright was picking us up to take us to the Caverna Hospital. Any more questions?
AJ was going with you to.
Yes, sir. That's the
Caverna
reason.
Hospital.
That's the reason he went to get the baby's diaper bag. I called Thomas actually from the car shop. That's a semi tow truck place that's right behind Dairy Queen. Left from there and went to Wigwam, and that's where Thomas was supposed to meet me to pick up the baby and AJ.
So you're claiming that you were, I guess, concerned for the child's safety?
Yes, sir. And
You
the
know how to
father-
dial 911?
I talked to the officers when they got there and told them to call EMS.
Do you know how to dial 911?
I didn't have a phone. I had actually slammed it across the wall in the bedroom when I left that day.
You said you got in contact with Thomas Wright.
Yes, I had stopped at the shop that was right behind Dairy Queen, called Thomas, and Thomas said, okay, I will meet you at Wigwam. I was not hiding. I walked right behind Dairy Queen, walked right out into the middle of the road, walked right across the street to Wigwam's.
So Ms. Jones, you called Thomas Wright instead of calling law enforcement?
I don't know the number to Casey. And actually, if you want to, we can go back. I did call 911 earlier that day, about an hour prior to this.
About this child?
Yes, about the situation. I called 911 and talked to Erica Davis, who is the dispatch over at Glasgow, and asked her to send me through to Cave City.
Did you speak with anybody at Cave City?
No, sir, they never answered their phone. I guess they was too busy.
I have no further questions.
Mr. Barry?
No, Judge, I don't have any follow-up.
Hadn't you and Thomas Wright gotten in enough trouble together?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Why would you call? I mean, listen, you hold on till I get finished asking this question and then you can answer it, and I won't interrupt you either. All
Yes,
right.
sir.
Of all people on the planet, why would you think that calling him, I mean, getting in the car with him is like playing Russian roulette with the police? Am I wrong?
No, sir.
So why did you call him thinking that you were going to be protecting a little kid, a little baby?
We have a son together, Your Honor.
So?
So he's never hurt a child. He's never hurt none of mine. And he's been there when nobody else has.
I'm not calling him a serial child herder. I'm saying that he gets in trouble an awful lot.
Well, I mean,
And if he gets pulled over, there's usually something in his car.
well, I just found out about that since I've been in here.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know. He's got arrested since I've been in here. I already know.
Yeah.
Sir.
like a week ago.
Yeah, I know. I was told that.
That story doesn't make a lot of sense.
I don't see how it doesn't make any sense. I told you exactly everything that happened that day.
That might
And
tell me an awful lot right there.
Well, my car is sitting at Waldell's without a starter on it right now, you know. I do have my own vehicle.
Do you have and you may, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
He is the only person that's in Cave City that has a vehicle because Mr. Pointer and Mr. Brian, I had already left Brian's and Keith at the time does not, and me and Matt got into it that day.
Okay. Do you have any idea why? And you may not have an answer to this. So but if the dad was on your team with this, wanting to get the kid away and all the meth, and then when the police show up and they start asking him questions and he denies all of that, is there something going on there?
Do you want me to be honest? I was sleeping with the
I do.
Okay, so after Brian cheated on me, I went to the motel, me and the father fucked, if that's what you want to know.
That is not how you had to put it, but
We had sexual relations.
I suspected that might have been an element of this whole story because it didn't make a lot of sense without putting something like that into the mix.
The mother got upset, I guess. I don't know. I mean,
Yeah,
maybe she should have been at home instead of a pair of hoochie coochie shorts at the dope man's house. I mean, you tell me.
Well, all right. So listen, do you, Mr. Berry or Mr. Gardner, do you all want to ask any other questions?
No, I don't have any more, Judge.
All right.
I've got a million, but I won't ask him.
You know how they say not to ask a question that you know the answer to, that you don't know the answer to? I knew the answer to that one. I should have been smart enough not to ask it. But I wasn't. All right, Mr. Berry, make your argument if you would like.
Yes, I would like, Judge. I guess first off, I'd want to address her drug use or lack of drug use and seem to stay pretty much on the straight and narrow as drugs.
Hey guys, please, can I hear?
Hold on.
Hold
on a second. Greg, hold on a second.
Oh, okay.
Bonnie, do I need to clear this room out?
I'm about to, Judge. I'm about to call him, so I'm coming to get him.
All I got left that I need to talk to is Mr. Neal after this, so.
Okay. I'm finished with court. Come get him.
All right, Greg, sorry.
Yeah, I think as far as her drug use, she's pretty much been walking on the straight and narrow with that since she had her treatment back in 2019 or 2020. I wasn't quite sure. I think maybe it started in one year, went over into the next. They didn't have any violations of that they saw or had record of in 2020. 2021, she admits that she relapsed and had the use on January the 11th, but there's no record of any use since then. She, according to Officer Bray, always showed up for her meetings with probation or called in, whatever they've been doing since she's been on probation. I guess it was kind of both, but whatever has made her meetings. And he said she was good about showing up for those. The one time in 2021 that she admitted using, she didn't deny it when they talked to her about it. These allegations of new criminal conduct, I don't know if the theft case is dismissed or if her grandfather's wanting it dismissed. And I know how that goes. Sometimes alleged victims come in, they want things dismissed and don't realize it's not always up to them, whether something's dismissed or not. So I don't know if it was or not, or has been, or where it may stand right now. But be that as it may, that in this custodial interference case, I just think both of them, I realize they don't have to have convictions on them to bring motions to revoke somebody's probation. But you do hate to see probation revoked on somebody for that when it turns out that there was either nothing to it or it comes out to be a defensible case that ends up in a dismissal of some type, that somebody be revoked and sent to prison for that. And I think on both of those cases, it sounds like that might be exactly what could be the end result on them. Possibly the theft case has been resolved, or it may be, even if it hasn't been, with a dismissal. In the custodial interference, I don't know. There's just a lot out there on that I think has to be hashed out. If any way would be with a jury trial and see what a jury thinks about it. So I would ask the court not to revoke her on these, to let her have a chance to fight these charges. If I don't remember exactly when Jennifer Kent was put in jail this time, or how long she's been. I think it's a couple of weeks maybe that she's been in there this time. We would ask for a sanction in that she be allowed back out on her probation, and see how these two cases shake out.
All right, Mr. Gardner.
Your Honor, the Commonwealth's obviously concerned by Ms. Jones' recent behavior. We have, back in January, at least an unlawful use of a motor vehicle with her grandfather. I don't know if the burden we'd be able to prove beyond a reasonable doubt on the theft, since the car was brought back. But as far as I think you could satisfy the burden of proof on unlawful use of a vehicle. Then you have an admission of a relapse in January to methamphetamine use. Obviously, that's concerning because Ms. Jones has a long substance abuse history. And then we've got this incident in March. None of this makes sense to me as far as, I mean, you catch your significant other having sex with somebody else, or you go to somebody else's hotel room, have sex with them, leave with their child, and then end up a neighbor, somebody resident there in Cave City, sees her wandering through the backyard into a wooded area with a child without the person that she had just allegedly had sex with not too long ago. So that behavior is obviously concerning to the Commonwealth, and based upon Mrs. Jones' extensive criminal history. I mean, she was given an opportunity in these three cases of probation. Since she was given that opportunity, we've had 2 revocation hearings, and now we've got another relapse with methamphetamine, and then these 2 new arrests as well. Like I said, the one in January with her grandfather, that's probably not as serious as this past one, but obviously, this last one, we have Miss Jones in possession of somebody else's child, claiming that she's, concerned about the health of the child, yet she stops at a station and calls, like you said, Your Honor, Thomas Wright, instead of calling, 911, Cave City Police Department, EMS, anybody but Thomas Wright. I mean, she could have picked a random number and just dialed that and have been better off than calling Thomas Wright. So for all those reasons, the Commonwealth believes that it's satisfied its proof and asks that her probation be revoked.
First off, the reason that nothing has happened in that theft case is because she was out of custody, so they hadn't been able to arraign people. It's still set for an arraignment. Just FYI, on April the 19th in district court. So it's not been dismissed. I agree really that's kind of an unauthorized use of a motor vehicle case is really what that probably is. But that isn't my call. I mean, I heard the testimony and I'll evaluate it for what it's worth. It's not up to me to decide whether you're guilty of stealing a motor vehicle or not. But I agree with Mr. Gardner's observation that is the less compelling of the 2 cases. I struggle a little bit with the drug use because I don't think I think you had an admission, which is fine. I think you had been put on a I mean, I don't have to, my point is, we don't have to have a test for that to count. But by the same token, I think you were probably on a low level of supervision, probably meaning that you hadn't had any tests for a year anyway. So I don't know how much benefit that, or very many tests at least, but you had made it to a low level of supervision. So that's a good, that works in your favor because that, you weren't unsupervised, but you were, as close to that as you could have been. So I think you were doing well. It's really hard for me to get my head around this whole baby story. Like I said, I suspected, and believe it or not, this is actually works in your favor, but I suspected that the story was something along the lines of what you said. You didn't have to be quite so coarse about it. I think you could have told me what happened and I would have been able to use my imagination. I think you thought it was going to be cute and make everybody laugh. And I don't know why you'd rather make everybody laugh than stay out of jail, but yeah. I get the sense that you aren't taking any of this stuff as seriously as you ought to be taking it. And I usually, that comes mainly from the fact that you aren't very interested in what I have to say and you just keep rolling your eyes at me. And, here I am trying to figure out what I can do, if I can figure out a way to keep you out of jail. Makes me kind of wonder where your mindset is, to be honest. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Well, I mean, nobody ought to have to tell you how to act right.
No, sir. But I have been in a holding cell since a friend of mine's father passed away on Thursday. And I just come out of the hole yesterday and I didn't even get to go to the funeral. So,
I'm sorry about that, but I mean, that's not got anything to do with me. You're sitting up here looking at 5 years in prison, and I'm trying to talk to you about what's happened. I mean, you've gotten arrested twice in the last 2 months, and admitted to drug use once in the last 2 months. And, I've sat up here and listened to 30 minutes worth of testimony about all of this. And then, you're just trying to be funny and there isn't any reason to be funny.
no, sir, I was not trying to be funny, but would you rather me lie and not have told my PO that I had relapsed? I actually called her and told her that I relapsed.
No. I told you that I thought that I wasn't that worried about that.
I mean, that's what I was taught to do. And that's what my sponsor suggested me to do.
That's not why you're here.
You haven't.
You're not here because you told Officer McCorkle that you relapsed.
No, I'm here because I thought I was doing what was best in the interest of a child and what was in the best interest of the father at the moment. That's why I'm here. The reason he went back and got the diaper bag and the baby's birth certificate is so when he went to Coverna Hospital, he could go from there to Brass, which is in Bowling Green, because we have no Brass in Barron County no more.
Understood. My point is that you ought to be acknowledging the tenuous situation that you were in, that, the Commonwealth, you've been arrested on 2 felonies in 2 months, and they're asking me to put you in prison for 5 years. And you should be more worried about that than you are about making everybody laugh.
I'm not trying to make anybody laugh, Your Honor, and I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry I disrespected you. But I will do whatever you ask me to. But I mean, I've lost my job at Federal Mogul since I've been in here. I can't go back to work. So now I'm going to have to go to a temporary company and go there until I can wait another 2 months to get back on at Federal Mogul. It took me 7 months just to get on there.
I understand. I mean, you're, and listen, I'm not trying to kick you when you're down. What I'm trying to say is that, you can make 7 months of great decisions and working your tail end off and doing everything right, and then go do something that doesn't make a lot of sense, hanging out around people that you might not should be hanging around with. and, you know, you lose it all in a heartbeat.
Okay, Your Honor, if you want to get technical, actually, I went from April of 2019, April 1st of 2019 until January 11th of 2021. That's longer than any 7 months. And before I come home from Hopkinsville or Christian County, I did make sure that I had a job to come back home to, the same job that I had lost when I came to jail in 2019. And I made manager at that company and then went from there to a better company. So I didn't do anything that was, you know, yes, I messed up. Yes, I did. But I done everything I was supposed to. You know, before I come home, it was that I was only supposed to stay at my grandparents for 6 months and get my own place. I got my own place in Tompkinsville. You know, I was doing really, really good. When the snowstorm came, my vehicle got stuck down there, and that's where I was stuck at from February until March, from February 14th. I mean, you know, there was a snowstorm. Where else was I supposed to go? Nobody could get anywhere. I walked a lot of places when my car was sitting down there at Waddell's. I walked. You know, I mean, when I say I walked from Horse Cave to Cave City, from Cave City back to Horse Cave. I did not have a vehicle. I did not have transportation. My car was stuck. So yes, I didn't feel like that it would be the great need of carrying a child all the way to Caverna Hospital. So yes, I did call Thomas Wright for a ride. It wasn't that I would be by myself with him. I was going to be with the father. But to take the baby to the hospital, he had to have the birth certificate. He didn't have the baby's insurance or anything else. And for him and the baby to go to Brass, they would have had to have a birth certificate showing that he was the father.
Believe it or not, a whole lot of that story makes sense to me. What I'm trying to explain to you is why you are here where you are. Not that I think that not that I think that you need to be put in prison for the rest of your life. Not that I think that you have committed a bunch of felonies. What I'm trying to explain to you, so that I want you to understand, is how I understand why you've made some of the decisions that you made, but some of them haven't been that good either. And that's what's put you in this spot. And I'm trying to get you to acknowledge that. You got to see both sides of it. You're seeing all the good things that you've done. You need to see that there's been some bad decisions made as well, because you got to take responsibility for those things.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I do. And that was a discussion that I had with my grandmother this morning before court, was that I would not have no contact with Thomas Wright at this time.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that you know what kind of trouble. I mean, you've come up here before in the middle of a trial and lied for him, and you admitted to me that you lied for him. He got in trouble anyway. Then you got in trouble. Then he got in trouble. I mean, you know, it's just when somebody is a lightning rod for trouble, then, you know, you're going to get electrocuted too if you grab a hold of them.
Yes, sir.
That's the point I'm making.
Yes, sir. And I talked to my grandmother, and Friday I've got an appointment with Ben Rogers, but I'm supposed to go to Hart County to sign a piece of paper against him for assault in the first degree with a deadly weapon from 2017 in Hart County.
All right. That's
out of your jurisdiction.
Yeah. All right. So listen, I need to know a couple of things from you, because all of this together looks worse. I mean, to me, I've heard the explanations, I've heard the testimony. I can't fault anybody for doing anything. The motion is a legitimate motion. The arrests are legitimate arrests. I mean, I'm sure they don't know what to think either when they come up on this situation. And maybe somebody that was involved in the situation decided that it wasn't worth admitting what was going on because he didn't want to make his woman mad or whatever. I don't know. But I mean, this is a scale. I don't get the, you did not, your behavior was not such that it looked like you were trying to hide or steal this baby. That's not what it looks like to me. All right. Now, do I think, is there probable cause that you took this baby without permission of its custodian? There's probably, there's probable cause of that because of what those people told the officer when he got there. All right. So that is what it is. And that'll play out as Mr. Berry put on. And he's right. You don't have to get convicted of a crime to get your probation revoked. But after hearing the testimony on these things, I don't think either one of them are as awful as they look on paper. All right. So I don't think that either one of them is something that I ought to revoke your 5-year sentence for. All right. But I'm trying to get you to understand why, I mean, and I'm tying up all these people. All right. They all got better things to do, but I'm trying to help you. And I'm trying to get you to understand that you got to take some of the responsibility for the bad choices that are getting made. You know, I mean, I'm not, John Gardner's not out to get you. I'm not out to get you. All right. But you've got to own up to some of these dumb things that are happening and change them.
Yes, sir.
You know, I mean, I know you'll get out here and work and you're a hard worker. And I know you've done well when that, you know, when it comes to that, but that's what I was talking about before. It doesn't do any good to work your tail end off for 7 or 8 months at a job and get all the way up there to where things are going great. And then do one, you know, make one bad choice and boom, it's all gone. You got to start over. And I know you can start over. You've done it before. But you know, it's better to just not let it happen in the first place. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now listen, I want you, you're going to have to be, I've got to sanction you because you've gotten, like I said, you've gotten arrested on 2 felonies and and listen, if you were lying about your drug use and all of that, I'll give you points for acknowledging, owning up to it and saying what happened. All right. I mean, for calling your officer and telling him, you know, I'm not on that. Okay. But it can't keep happening.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Right.
So what I think is fair under the circumstances would be to have, you know, to give you a 30-day sanction, after which you report immediately on the, you know, the same day. If it's a weekday, you report immediately to your probation officer, and, you know, get back on track with them. I do have to get an address from you because apparently they're sending you stuff on this case in district court and you're not getting it because if you thought it was dismissed, I mean, they're sending you notices of when your court date is. So I need to get your address and I'm going to tell you what your court date is because you're going to need to be there. Or I think they'll still be doing Zoom in April, but you're going to have to be able to figure out how to get on for it. Okay.
Okay.
What's your address?
4710 Old Lexington Road, Cave City, Kentucky, 42127.
4710 Old Lexington Road.
Yes, sir.
All right. Listen, all right. So, like I said, you got this court date on April 19th. And if you can't, I don't know exactly how they're doing them because they do stuff different than me, but you can call the clerk's office or call your attorney's office and they can tell you how to get on that, Zoom it or whatever.
Is it at 8:30 that morning?
I think it is.
Okay.
And then I don't know anything about your custodial interference case, but since you've been in jail, I'm sure you've already appeared for that, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. So listen, I mean, you know, you got a substantial amount of time looking at you. And you know, I'm trying to see the good things that have happened and not just the bad things that have happened so that I can give you, you know, the chance to get all this behind you and walk this off. Okay.
Yes, sir.
But I can't keep doing it. So, you know, it's on you at this point.
Okay.
Do you follow me?
Yes, sir.
Do you have any questions?
No, sir. Oh, yes,
All right.
sir. Are you
Yeah.
going to count from the day that I come in, which was on the 3rd for my 30 days?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know what day that puts you out, but like I said, if it's a weekday, you need to contact probation immediately. If it's a weekend, you contact them on that following Monday.
Okay.
Okay?
All righty.
All right. Good luck.
Thank you.
Mr. Neal.
Yes, sir.
Anybody that was on that case is free to go.
Your Honor.
Mr. Neal, there has been a new violation report or an updated violation report filed. And we just got that today. The Commonwealth and your attorney had discussed a continuance so that Mr. Barrett could review that information and look into it and come talk to you about it.
I spoke with him today, Your Honor. But first of all, I'd like to apologize for my rude, what I done last time to Mr. Gardner, to you, to Mr. Mike Richardson, and all of you. I was in the wrong for that. But I know I'm here to answer for that driving on suspended. I just recently sold Mike Herzog right here in my last car. I don't have no vehicles. I will not drive again. My wife, as you know, passed away. They send me things from Social Security Administration to get her check fixed to where I'm not held accountable for what her money, because she's passed. And I've got to go to that Social Security office to do that. And I have my stimulus money out there that I can't get to because she put it on a bank card that I don't know where it's at. I don't know what's happened to it. So I have to get that filed to get another one to pay this restitution. I've not missed a Zoom meeting with my probation parole officer, and driving on suspended. I don't know. I won't do it anymore. I've been here like 20 some days, and I just want to try to get out here to get the stimulus money, pay my restitution, get all this behind me.
Mr. Barry, what were you all, or Mr. Richardson, whichever one, what were you all suggesting was going to be the?
Well, I was going to suggest that we continue to the next revocation date. I need to subpoena the officer, and I'm probably going to see if I can get somebody from that store to testify to the theft. So if we could do that, that would be good.
Mr. Richardson, can I ask you a question, please?
Well,
Sure.
Yeah, he may not answer it, but you can ask him.
Oh, well, I just wanted to see, I know driving on suspended, I sold every vehicle I own. I don't even own a vehicle. I have to, wherever I go, I have to walk from now, because they were driving on suspended. But the first time they got me for driving on suspended, I had no idea my license was suspended. My dad.
Mr. Neal, listen, I don't mean to interrupt you.
I'm sorry.
You probably need to talk to your attorney about that, but this is no longer really about the suspended license issue, okay?
I understand.
It's only a small part of it.
Okay. Well, I understand that. I just want to be able to get out here today to get this took care of before my wife's deal, before they bring it back on me. Because I've been got letters over this Social Security Board administration. You know what I do. Whatever money she had, I don't want them sending it to me because it's not mine until I go to Bowling Green to get the Social Security Administration for me to draw the money off her Social Security.
Listen. If you don't spend that money and when you get out, you pay it back. She's not entitled. What if I understand what you're saying? She's continued to get. She has continued to get her Social Security for the last couple of months, even though she passed away in January. But that money can be returned. You know what I mean? You do need to take steps to get that check stopped, but you can also not spend any of that money and return it to them whenever you get out.
Yeah, I'm not spending nothing. I'm not spending no money.
Yeah, don't spend it.
I want to just get out here to get my stimulus money, what I've got coming.
I know you do, but listen, here's what we're going to do. All right. And
please just let me out.
Listen, you can be mad at me all you want. But I'm going to continue this till the next revocation date. And listen, you earned it now because I was trying to let you out the last time.
I know that's the reason why I say my greatest apologies to all of y'all. I know I messed up, but
I understand, but
they let people out back here in this cell for trafficking methamphetamine, man, 2 times on probation, and they walk out of here. Why am I any different?
Well, because you were going to walk out of there until you spent 15 minutes calling me everything you could think of.
And I feel I'm sorry, and I know you did nothing wrong. Neither did Mr. Richardson. Y'all doing y'all's job.
I understand you're sorry, and I understand
I'm
that
sorry
you
didn't do what I did.
I understand that you're sorry, and I accept your apology. But I'm saying that's why you're in there, And that's why you'll have to stay in there till we get back here and have your hearing. Okay? I mean, I'm not the one that did it.
I know that. I mean,
Okay?
I just
And I'm
can't-
not telling you I'm mad at you, and I'm not telling you I'm gonna hold it against you, because you're gonna get a fair shake when we have your hearing, whenever that is. Well, it'll be, the next time that we do this, which is April 13th. I know you want to get out, and I know why you want to get out, and I don't blame you one bit. But I mean, this is new information that we just found out, and we're gonna have to pass the hearing, and that's all there is to it. Okay?
I just told, this morning when he come up here, they just OR'd me in T-ville on this. I don't even know what it's over. They OR'd me in T-ville and told me that, and then I was on a PV hold. So I said, well, when I go to, see the judge, see what happens then.
Well, I mean, that's why they OR'd you in T-bills, because they knew you were being held by me.
I know that. And I said, well, if the judge gonna let me out, last time I was driving on suspended, I don't even know what this here is over. To be truthful, I don't have a clue what it's over.
I know, and that's why everybody needs a chance to look at it, including your lawyer, and he needs to get a copy of it, and then he needs to come talk to you about it.
He was up here today.
Well, if he knew about what was going on and talked to you about it, you would know.
Yeah, I didn't know anything about it till we were just
Exactly.
starting this docket, so.
Exactly. He doesn't know what it's about either. He's got to get a copy of the complaint and investigate it. I mean, he's got to do his job on it.
Yeah.
Right?
And Mr. Hogan, every Zoom meeting, if he's called me and I didn't get the phone, I called him right back, and you can ask him what I was doing. I was working on a vehicle at the time. Every time he's called me.
He's not accusing you of not talking to him or not.
I know that. I know.
He's not.
So I'm gonna be in there another what?
Well, till April 13th.
Whatever you see fit, Judge. I mean.
Do what?
I said, whatever you see fit. I mean, I don't know how.
Well,
Can I ask, can I get a bond on it or an ankle monitor or anything? So I can get this stimulus money took care of. I mean, I've been trying to get it for the past 3 or 4 or 5 months while I was out. I can't find the card that she had, or I don't know if her daughter's got it or who's got it. Can I please just get a bond? I'll pay $1,000 bond right now, cash money, to get out to get it took care of. And I promise I will not drive. I will not do nothing. I'll go straight to probation pro right now. Right, straight out of this jail cell. I'll call my sons come get me, and I'll do whatever you ask me to do.
all right. Mr. Neal, I understand, but I'm not going to let you out till we have your hearing, okay? I don't expect you to be happy about it. I'm just telling you that's how it's going to go, okay?
I understand.
All right. I'll see you then.
That's all I had, Judge.
I think that's all of them. Unless anybody can think of something that I can't think of, which wouldn't be hard at this stage.
Judge, I did miss what was done on Bryant Stone. I heard you bring it up, but I don't remember what was done.
Who was asking? I'm sorry.
Me, Denise, Bryant Stone, I missed it.
Oh, he's apparently got a bed in rehab, and it's actually, we were told it was today, so we did an order to release him today, and then I think we found out later that it's actually tomorrow, but we had already told him to take him off the docket and get ready to release him.
Okay, thank you.
But I don't think they're going to release him until the people get there to pick him up, so I think he'll still be in there till tomorrow. Okay. Anybody else want to discuss anything while we're all on here? All right. I'll see some of you on Thursday.
All right.
We still being recorded on YouTube?